I'm Mohammed Hussain. I'm here to represent my team, Wallflowers. Have a take a look to my team members. Now take a look to content we are describing in our presentation. All we know, Bangladesh is an agricultural country. The majority of product of agriculture is fruits and vegetables. But the farmer of our country don't get the fair price of their product. Then this the lion's share of profits are consumed by middlemen. Have a take a look to supply chain of products. Here we can see wholesaler and retailer are middlemen and they are commonly involved. So that the in this middlemen are not middlemen are involved. Next topic is will be discussed by me.
Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum. The topic I'll be discussing is about reasons to addressing the middleman. That means why the farmers of Bangladesh still rely on the middleman in spite of having such wonderful opportunities and newly invented technologies. So we have some points here. First, the point that should be discussed is distance between the farmers and the consumers. When a farmer wants to supply his goods directly to the consumers, he should have a relationship between them. The relationship can be defined by transaction, contracts, and laws rather than by trust, common interests, etc. Then the point is lack of business knowledge of farmers. We know in our rural areas, the farmers is not so educated. So if the farmer would have the knowledge on farming and supply chain, they would not rely on the middleman. Then the lack of warehouses for farmers. If the farmers put their goods in warehouses, they would not have rely on middlemen because they would just take their products and sell it to the consumers. Then port and transportation. Well, we all know about the port transportation in our rural areas. So this is a very common point. Then capital shortage. Our farmers are very poor. So if they want to sell their goods here to the consumers, they would need some money. They would need some capital for that. So they have the lack of it. Then unstable market conditions. When the market of vegetables are so unstable, are so fluctuate so rapidly that the farmers cannot sell their goods to the consumers and they rely on the middleman. Then lack of a cooperative society with farmers. We have studied that at least 47% of the cooperative societies are inactive. So if there were more cooperative societies, the farmers would not have relied on the middleman. So thank you, and I would like to call Sajin for further discussion.
I'm Arjun Hassan, and now I am going to discuss the way how our farmers of our country can receive the fair price of their crops. So the first one is the Farmers Cooperative Society. It is one of the best way by which our farmers can receive their fair value, because through this cooperative society, a farmer can directly sell their products and crops, which is vegetables, to the ultimate consumer. Thus, he can receive the fair price. The next one is public-private partnership. Actually, if the government successfully builds a relationship with the private sector, and if the private sector is involved more and more in the supply chain, then our supply chain will be more developed and constructed. Thus, the farmers of our country will receive a fair price. The next one is abolishment of abolishment of rent-paying system. Actually, rent-paying system is nothing but a curse for our farmers, because the farmers has to pay a lot of amount of their profit due to this rent-paying system. The next one is regulated system. Actually, I think that, which means we always think that the government should be more involved in the supply chain, and the government should act like a liaison between the ultimate consumer and the farmers, so that the farmers can get the fair price. And the next one is transportation management. Actually, transportation management should be more developed, so that the gap between the ultimate consumer and the farmers is reduced, and thus the farmer get the fair price. And the next one is establishing price controlling commission. If there is a price controlling commission in every market, then and if the price controlling commission establish a standard price and fair price for each parties related to the supply chain, then every parties will get the same benefit, and thus the farmer will get the fair price. And the last before the one is establishing producer making marketing organization. If there is a special organization which is specialized for the farmers, and through this organization the farmer can gain more information, marketing strategy and branding knowledge through that organization. And the last and not the least is developing warehouse. Actually, in our country there are a lot of warehouse for wholesalers or retailers, but if we count for the farmers, there are only a few warehouses, and by this the farmers cannot store their products and rely on the middleman. So I think that we should develop the warehouse, and by doing these things the farmers can get their fair price. Now I request my next fellow members to discuss the next topic.
Hello, my name is Kavita Salamari, and I'll be explaining the reasons why branding is not chosen as an alternative to ensure a fair price for the farmers. First, lack of branding business literacy. Most of the farmers of Bangladesh are poor and illiterate. They do not have any idea regarding any business procedures. And as it goes for branding, it is a particularly complex procedure, and it is borderline impossible for them to come up with ideas and to deal with branding. Next, branding is complex and expensive. As I've already mentioned earlier, it is a very complex procedure. Branding requires extensive market research, gathering consumer preferences, etc. And branding itself is very expensive. The logos need to be created, product designs need to be made, and this results in a very high price for branding. Improper identification of target customers. Customers will not buy a product if they are not familiar with the brand. Branding is truly successful when the customers are familiar with the brand. Branding must be kept aligned with and relevant to the customer's satisfaction. Difficulty in maintaining customer preferences. The market is ever changing, and the customer choices are also changing. For example, for a certain vegetable, a different type of vegetable is harvested in different seasons, and for each of those vegetables, a different brand might be needed to market it and to send the message to the customers. And there might also be different target customers for the specific product. Next is the negative attributes. If a certain product of a brand receives any negative recognition, and then that negativity is spread to the whole brand, and as a result the whole brand is defamed. So it can be concluded that what we've known and what we've learned, we've seen why we have chosen the middleman to be a better alternative than branding, and we've also seen how we can ensure the farmers get a proper price, and why branding is not a proper alternative in this case. Thank you.
Solution which
Ways to ensure fair.
yeah. personal feedback, they never have this type of side. Actually, apple sugar takes, apple takes, no takes. It's personal feedback. Secondly, the question: how do you plan to do all this? What's the big idea? You have 7, 8, or I don't know, 9 points. What's the big idea? You cannot have 9 big ideas.
Yes, I think that the farmer cooperative society is the best idea because this is the only way I think through which the farmer can directly sell their ultimate product. Because if a farmer or if there is a cooperative society in any village, then the farmer produces produced products will be stored in the farmer cooperative society, and the farmer cooperative society authority will sell the product to the ultimate consumer, so that the number of middlemen here is lessened.
I have another plan that is not mentioned here. Actually, that is technology. Right? Nowadays we have something from many operating systems like they are sending SMSs and messages to the farmers, and they are actually solving the problems of farmers' problems that they face. But if we make any apps like a farmers app that will be updated in a regular version, in this app we will include the market price of their crops, then what's the situation of a market. This will be updated in regularity. So this is also a big. This can also be a big.
That's the 10th invisible idea somewhere. Okay. About the idea that you have picked, that farmers cooperative society in Bangladesh, there is a department for cooperatives. Recently, I've been visiting there for last 6 months now, and the data that I've gathered is that in Bangladesh there are roughly 1.5 lakh cooperative societies, and you can safely assume that at least 40% of them are for farmers, and you can also safely assume that out of those 40%, probably 50% doesn't even function well. The question is that if there are so many farmer cooperatives already existing, do you want to create new cooperatives or do you want to use those existing ones? If you choose the latter option, that use the existing ones, do you have any plan as to how to do so?
Yes, I will decide to utilize the existing farms and I will try to moderate those farms. And if I try to moderate the farms, then I think that the government should organize more conference and consultancy farms. More meetings, or there should be a consultancy farm which is especially for the cooperatives.
Right.
Actually, training for the farmers is mandatory.
You have actually rightly tasked the cooperative part, but you are still missing on the plan. Okay, and since it's the age of IT, everything is actually like what you have found with the 10 missing idea. That why not have an app where you can get the price? Why not have an app where you can get the price and also get the cooperative locations and also know which cooperative is making which product? Because cooperatives tend to have common crops, common interests. Basically, they are called common interest groups. So let's say you have cooperative for fish, you have cooperative for meat, for milk. Like Milk is the largest cooperative for milk. So why do you think it's functioning still now? Because of that particular point, that these milk producers, they are getting the fair price. Otherwise, they wouldn't have started with milk. They would have gone to for another cooperative. So, I think